And again today we welcome you to the Chancellor's Home at Troy University for our cooking show, and we also welcome back Mr. Lloyd Taylor of the Emerald Coast Alumni Association. Our first show we talked about tailgating and had wonderful fried scamp and some hush puppies that I can't wait to try, and we talked a lot about tailgating. Today we're going to talk about foods for entertaining, and I want to say that as we mentioned earlier, we are in the process of completing our third edition of Taste and Traditions of Troy University. This one will be celebrating 125 years of Taste and Traditions for Troy University. And Mr. Taylor has recipes in that book, and what we do today as well as what we did for tailgating will be in the book. We also have an entertaining section, so we're excited about putting the recipes we're going to talk about today. So if you need the ingredients and need to try it, you can buy the cookbook. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us what we're going to do today.
I have 3 dishes that I like to prepare for you for entertainment purposes. My wife and I like to have company over a lot, and these are some of the dishes that I traditionally prepare. The first one, it will be stuffed grouper.
Yum.
In this pan is the grouper fillets. You may use any white fish. Flounder is excellent, triggerfish, just about any fish, even an orange roughy.
Any white fish, oh yeah.
Fish is excellent. This fish I've already seasoned with Tony Cacheray, and I'm going to stuff it with Dewey Destin's own personal crab meat stuffing.
And you told us earlier who Dewey Destin is.
Yes, Dewey is a relative of mine and owner of Dewey Destin Seafood Restaurants in Destin and one in Crestview. And a very fine individual. He's presently elected our school board unopposed. Served as city council for 25 years. All right, I put the crab meat stuffing. You may buy crab stuffing at the grocery store in little tubes. It doesn't have as much crab, but I love it. I think it's excellent. I put the crab meat stuffing. The next...
All right, may I ask you here, do we have the recipe for Dewey Destin's crab meat stuffing in the cookbook?
No, we don't, but I'll get it for you.
We'll get that. Okay, that's important. Yes. Or you could use any recipe for crab meat stuffing, or as you said, buy it already
normally
prepared.
I buy it, but Dewey should take mine. So
okay.
Since I had access to keys to his restaurant, I just went and got it.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, I'm going to put just a little bit of bell pepper. Not a lot.
All right, and that's chopped raw bell pepper.
And then I'll put a little onion, and this happens to be our purple onion.
Okay. And that's raw, not already cooked.
And you notice I cut it in serving sizes. Now this is quite a bit for one person to eat normally. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cover it up. You can put toothpicks in it if you like. I don't, but some people do. And next we'll add, and by the way, you may use scallion or green onions as well, which I'm going to use in another dish. And I'll add some sour cream.
Oh my.
And that's just like spreading on a cake. My mother didn't let me in the kitchen much when she was making cakes, but I got to lick the stick in the bowl.
Well, that's the best part.
And you can put as much as you like on here. That should be plenty.
So would you say that was about a half a cup of sour cream, you think?
At least a half a cup. Covered like a thick frosting on a cake.
Okay.
And then last, I sprinkle mozzarella.
Shredded mozzarella cheese.
Now some people put Romano because it's a little stronger.
Yes.
Put your own taste in the cheeses.
So Romano or Parmesan or mozzarella shredded.
Any of those cheeses. And I like to add just a little bit of butter around the edges of mine. You don't have to do this, but I think it works better. Now, this dish you put in the oven about 350 for about 25 minutes or so. You can check on it. Once it becomes flaky, it's done. For a side dish, see, this is very simple. a side dish, you make a nice green salad. And I like salads that's got mandarin oranges in them.
Oh, yes, a fruit,
pecans and
yes.
walnuts and things.
So we're ready to put this
That's
in
correct, Ms.
a
Hawkins.
350 oven, did we say?
Yes, ma'am.
350. Okay, here we
Yes,
go.
We'll put it in and let that be cooking. Now while this
All
cooks,
right. Do we need to set the timer, or we're
let's set
just
it
going to
at- let's set it
say?
at 20 minutes.
All
and
right,
see if
we'll
we
do
can-
that. Okay.
Or we can just estimate.
Okay. Okay.
My
Here
next,
we are.
My next dish for entertaining is known as corn grouper. It has no corn in it, so I have not been able to determine why the name corn is in this recipe. You can use any white fish once again. And there's things that you do in advance. The first thing you do is cook up about a pound of bacon and save your bacon bits.
I love to use real bacon.
And also save your drippings, your renderings. Then you cut up about 2 or 3 cups, maybe a quarter cup for each guest, of scallion onions. And I'm putting this in order for a reason. And the next thing that you have that we add to this ingredient is red wine vinegar. Now, to prepare the fish and the potatoes. I have put the potatoes already in the steamer. On the top, I will add the fish. And this is grouper once again. And I've already seasoned it. So I'm going to put it in and we'll let it steam. And it shouldn't take long for this to be done.
So in the bottom of that pan, we have cut up any certain kind of potato that you
I
use?
prefer to use, see the water going, I prefer to use red potatoes, but these are just Irish, I call them Irish potatoes. Or the, but
Okay,
it doesn't
so
really
russet
matter.
potatoes
Russet.
or Irish potatoes,
And some-
and you just cut them up and put them in with water.
Some people like the little creamer potatoes. They're excellent. You know,
They
but-
are.
But they're harder to.
And did you
locate.
add anything to the potatoes?
I just seasoned them, and that was it. So we're going to let this stay for
Okay.
about 10 minutes while it steams up. And while we're doing that, we'll go to our third dish. But before we go there, let me remind you, if I haven't already said so, you serve a green salad with this and a bread. And if you're entertaining with alcoholic beverages and you want to use a wine, any red wine or rosé wines go with different fish dishes.
Great.
So you don't have to
Right.
look for
So about
particular-
how long are we going to cook that fish?
I hope this is done in 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay?
Normally I boil it, as I said earlier. I boil my potatoes, I take potatoes out in a colander in the same water that the potatoes were cooked in. I put the portions of fish in. As soon as it gets flaky, it's done.
Okay.
Then when you eat this is something you have to educate your guest on. You put your potatoes, I'm going to hold a plate. You put your potatoes in your plate. You'll take a fork, mash your potatoes up, add you some fish, mash it all up. Then you take you some onions, spread on it some bacon bits, 2 or 3 tablespoons of your renderings of your
Bacon grease.
bacon. And then you pour red wine vinegar on top of that. And I added to the recipe, because I love sour cream. You can use Philadelphia cream cheese, by the way, in these. It doesn't always have to be sour cream. So let's go back now to the third dish. In my family, my mother always saved the leftovers, which most families do. And some leftovers, it's hard to get kids to eat. So what we'd do in a fishing family and living on the bay, when we had boiled shrimp and any leftover shrimp, we'd peel them and save them, and then she would put them in the skillet with onions. So I'm going to put some onions in, and we're going to saute a few onions.
We have a little butter in that.
And a little butter in there,
And you
yes,
use unsalted butter or salted butter?
I like unsalted as well.
I think we agreed that we both like Land of Lakes unsalted butter for especially sauteing or pan frying.
Yes, we do. I've used it for years, and in fact, I mentioned earlier, some of you may remember the Florida Governor Bob Graham and he was our state senator. His family are the Land of Lakes, not him personally, but his father, and a very good governor. So I've got this sauteing. Now I'm going to add, we're going to add just a little bit of green onions. And, sorry, I'm spilling it everywhere.
Oh, that's part of it.
And the next thing we're going to do is put some shrimp. These shrimp have not been cooked, but as I mentioned earlier, we always use leftover shrimp from at home, but I'm going to throw a few shrimp and not put them all in here. It's going to take 5 minutes or so to get this going as well. I think that's hot enough. When we add just a little bit more butter to that.
And I know in the cookbook you're going to have exact amounts, right?
Yes, ma'am. It is broken down correctly. Now, as you can see, I'm just stirring this in. As soon as your shrimp, and like I said, it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes because I did not have this pan hot enough when I started. So we have to cook the shrimp first before you can add the other ingredients. And I do have it turned up high, yes. So it will not take much longer.
Electric stoves take a little while to heat up.
While we're doing this, I'd like to once again encourage all of the Troy alumni chapters to become more active in the tailgating at the ball games during this upcoming season, and to participate in many of the things, fundraisers that are going on to make this university the great place it is and even making it better. And I mentioned earlier about Dr. Hawkins stating about the value of your Troy diploma. And it just blows my mind as a student here in the 60s to notice the difference in the value of a Troy diploma. You used to tell somebody you have an accounting degree from Troy University, they start making you offers. And I mentioned these gentlemen here filming today. I knew from other sources that Troy's journalism and video, audiovisual aids and was highly ranked in the nation. And of course the education, the music, and one thing I told Dr. Hawkins when he's always bragging on other people, he doesn't take much credit for himself, because as we all know, we said several times, it takes a village to raise a child, and this university is a child. But there's so much going on that you can participate and help in, and I just encourage you to do so, because I probably had a charmed life, as many of you did or have, because I had 2 wonderful parents. I didn't come from a broken home. I was taught the 10 Commandments. I was taught the value of respecting your neighbors and helping. But when I came to Troy and I became an educator, it added to my to me. But the value that Dr. Hawkins is talking about has always increased and is continuing to increase. I'm adding now a little bit of horseradish. This is just to
give it a little zip.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, I was going to mention when you were talking about the degree programs here and how excellent the reputation is of some. It reminds me of what Dr. Hawkins says in one of the Troy commercials. He says, we don't try to be all things to all people, but what we do very well. Okay. And I think that's really
what I was trying to get out.
Accurate.
Absolutely.
Tell us how many alumni chapters we have now.
I think we have 38, something of that nature.
And growing daily. Growing daily.
I'm adding some diced tomatoes, and we'll stir this in.
So we have shrimp and green onions and purple onion in butter.
Yes.
And you put a little seasoning in it. Did I see you do that?
I'm gonna add a little
Rotel.
Now this is going to be a little. This is a mild version. So you can add hot
or mild or medium, I think.
To cook it. Now, You say, well, look at this. What is he doing? This is supposed to be leftover shrimp and just some tomatoes and onions and whatever you want to throw in it. Well, you had last night for dinner we had rice. So now we need to put some rice in. And see if I can get a bowl. And I'll add the rice. This is already cooked rice that was left over from last night's dinner. So you take the rice and you add it to your mixture here.
So you had just regular, you used a certain kind of rice,
Just regular white rice.
White rice.
Now my wife would prefer to use a different type of rice. Excuse me. Thank you very much.
That's what a sous chef is for, to hand you paper towel.
So now I'm going to stir in the rice, and once it gets warm, it's ready to serve. So turn this back up. And if it gets too dry, you just add some water.
Now, what is this dish
I
called?
call it just shrimp Creole.
And is that what it is in the cookbook, shrimp
Yes,
Creole?
ma'am, it's
Oh,
shrimp
it's
Creole.
just delicious looking and smelling.
It's simple.
We'll be right back in the kitchen after we tell you how to get your own copy of Celebrating 125 Years, The Taste and Traditions of Troy University. The third cookbook from Troy University, Celebrating 125 Years of Taste and Traditions of Troy University, is now available for ordering. This handsome volume is packed with recipes reflecting important themes in the life of the university, and also features reflections on the 125-year history of Troy. Taste and Traditions includes recipes for holidays, entertaining, tailgating, and tried and true family favorites, along with memorable recipes, global cuisine, recipes from the university's early years, and much, much more. No kitchen is complete without celebrating 125 years of taste and traditions of Troy University. Order your copy today. Email events@troy.edu or call 1-334-670-3608. Cookbooks are $25 plus $5 shipping and handling, and are also available from Troy student organizations.
We're about ready to show you how to plate up the corn grouper. As I said earlier, this is an old-time Destin recipe. If Mrs. Hawkins will hand me a plate here, we will show you how we go about doing this. I'll take a fork. Normally, I take the potatoes first and put on the plate.
Now, what did we season those with?
I use Tony Cacharet's for this
okay.
as well. You might want to use less than what I use. You notice now I'm breaking up the potato.
Well, it's a delicious seasoning, but it does have a little bite for people that don't like that. I happen to love it.
So that's why maybe the salt and pepper would be for guests if you don't know what they're used to eating. Now I have the fish, and we'll take a couple pieces of fish and we put it on top of the potatoes.
Did you make this recipe up?
No, it's actually 100 years old or more.
Really?
The old men in Destin, once again, you mash all this together. Destin was a fishing village. In fact, everybody from Panama City to Mobile, Bon Secure, those little towns, people knew each other. They had no communication, but yet they knew each other. Because they were all men of the sea.
Yes.
Now you notice that I'm mixing the fish up real good. Now the next thing I add is a little bacon. And this was the bacon that we fried up earlier, and we saved it. And next we're going to add some scallion onions, and I like a lot of them personally. And then we add red wine vinegar, and I use a lot of that. And then I personally like to add a little bit of sour cream. Now your dish is ready. Now it doesn't look good, but believe me, It's a tasty dish.
It looks good to me. So if you were to add the corn to make that corn grouper, you would add the corn to the potatoes,
Yes,
probably.
that would be
and then
logical.
cook the corn like a frozen corn or even a fresh corn, whatever you wanted. And then you cook the fish on top and then assemble it.
And you notice that I use the steamer. This is the first time I've ever prepared it using the steamer. But I think the results are basically the same. You serve it with a green salad and a French bread or Italian bread.
Well, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is the best part. I have the best job.
I hope
This
I'm not
looks
disappointed
delicious.
since
No.
It's the first time. It has a unique flavor to it. It's
Delicious.
different. But see, most people that say, I don't eat fish, they can eat this, just don't tell them it's fish. And another fish that I like to cook is tuna. I like to do it, but I put my tuna in teriyaki.
This is so good. You know what? The vinegar reminds me with fish of the old-timey
Chips.
fish and chips where you put the vinegar on the fish. Well, I won't have another bite because we're on camera, but I plan to as soon as it goes off.
And now, once again,
Delicious.
This is the shrimp creole. And of course, it's ready. Like I said, we need to add a little more shrimp to this, but we'll serve up a little of this. Thank you, Mrs. Hawkins.
Now you would serve this with the salad. Would your hush puppies go with this? Or?
To me, they would, but generally, I'd say yes, they would go very good.
Or you could
Let me
do
tell
a
you-
French bread or...
Yes. Let me tell you something about hush puppies. I used to throw them away. Once you cook them, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in your freezer, warm your oven, put them in your oven. You cannot put them in a microwave. They'll mush up.
No.
But they taste just like fresh hush puppies.
So just put them in a freezer bag.
Yes, ma'am. Take
And
them
when
out,
you're ready,
what you
take
need.
them out. Do you defrost them before you
Not
put
all of them, no.
And you don't need to cover them. You just put them
Put them in there
in
and warm them.
just like a 350
That's
or
correct.
400 oven and warm
they
them
are
up.
excellent. Now this is one of my favorite dishes. Of course, I didn't cut the shrimp up, so you may need to cut it with your fork.
All
But
right.
It's an excellent dish. This one may be a little bit spicy for you.
Not for me.
And these are white shrimp from Bon Secure out of Mobile Bay. I love going over to Mobile Bay and Eastern Shore, and also like Bilo Battery. That's an old fishing town. You go over there. Of course, there's a lot of shipbuilding or repairs. In fact, they just built a pirate ship, a replica of a pirate ship for Destin for tourists. And a friend of mine is the captain of that. They all dress up as pirates. They built it in Bilo Battery.
That is so good. That is absolutely
And it's
delicious.
a simple dish.
It is.
When you're entertaining, you don't want to spend all your time in the kitchen. This can even be prepared ahead of time and then warmed up.
I think what does this for me is that you not only added the diced tomatoes, but then you added the rotel, which gave it a really interesting little zip.
And the last
Delicious.
the last dish we have is the baked grouper. Let me talk about it once again before we pull it out. The baked grouper, as I said earlier, it doesn't have to be grouper. It can be any white fish, whatever in your local area. I was out in California. I had sand dads. Never had them in my life. Excellent fish. They'd make a good one to stuff. But this particular fish today is the grouper. We stuffed it with crab meat stuffing that was made at Dewey Destin's. You can buy tube crab meat stuffing at most
Right.
freezer section in the grocery store, seafood section. It was layered. I put little onions and a little bell pepper in it, and then I covered with sour cream, a little butter. We put it in the oven. You can make those individual ahead of time, put them in your refrigerator when your guest comes. As you're having a cocktail or a glass of wine before dinner, put it in there, 30, 35 minutes, it's ready. You can have your meal completely prepared before your company gets there. And that's one of the reasons I do most of the cooking at home. My wife does not like to be in the kitchen when she
When
has
the
company.
guests are coming, well,
So,
she's
now,
a
if we
fortunate woman.
Next, we're going to
There's
take
more
out, I'm going
forks.
to check it first to make sure our fish is ready before we pull it out of the oven. And you know, I believe it is ready.
Looks beautiful.
So let's pull it out
Yum.
slowly so we don't burn ourselves. And as you can tell, it's a very rich dish. I'm going to set it down here, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. You notice that I have it in 2 portions.
Yes.
And
that's about a size that you would serve, a portion size for
yes,
guests.
For a full meal, because you're not going to serve a lot. You might have maybe a little beans or something on the side, just 2 or 3 to, what do you call it, garnishing the plate, sort of. And if you'd like to try it, it's probably very hot, so if you want to break it apart and let it cool a moment.
Oh, this just looks beautiful and delicious. And you said a garden salad, or did you say a fruit salad with this?
I like fruit salads, but it's your preference.
And a little French bread.
You can dress it up, your meal, as you desire, depending on how you like to entertain your company, really. I like to just use basic fruit salads.
Okay, are we ready? Delicious. I need to go down in the middle of that one.
Yes, because the crab meat, you just had a piece of the fish.
Well, I think I'll do that off camera.
And
this is
cool
delicious.
Just a little bit. And once again, the Emerald Coast is alumni of Troy University is very proud to be a part of the university and to participate in what little ways we can to promote the students of this university. Because
well, you all do so much, and we are so grateful. Grateful. We just officially say thank you every opportunity we get, and this is one more. And
you're welcome. I never fail to mention when I come up here the Wilsons and the barbecue house, because believe me, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would have stayed at Troy. I had a girlfriend at Florida State, and I transferred there twice but never went, because I loved it here at Troy.
Well, we're so glad you stayed.
People ask me why, and I says the people, and it was. And the professors that we had, that they know you by name. I was not one of those students that would have been very successful if it wasn't for the encouragement of the professors telling me you can do this, just hang in there. And that encouragement is what made it possible for me to receive a degree, and I appreciate it. I want to pay back every way I can.
Well, we appreciate it so much. And you know, one of the things that we say a lot, and sort of our motto, is that we have a culture of caring here, and I really believe that that's true, that the students that come here are cared about, and I think that their parents know that and feel good about their sons and daughters coming here.
You just look at how large and how fast our international students is growing. Because like I said, Troy University is known worldwide, and I go to places, we travel quite a bit, and I run into people. I wear Troy's apparel everywhere I go.
I do too.
And so somebody will ask, did you go to Troy? And many of them are military. They said, I got a degree from Troy at such and such, but I've never been to the main campus. So I invited them. I said, it's a gorgeous campus.
Especially for homecoming.
Yes, and the beautification projects that you and the other people, the staff has made. Because I'm going to be honest with you, things started being changed around, because we don't like change.
I know.
Very difficult, and you got to sell people.
Right.
So my mother told me always step back and look at things. And I can tell you where the old infill is now. When you drive in this university at night, it is absolutely gorgeous. I want to thank all the people that are involved in that, because I know that you had to take some licks sometimes to get these projects done. But just look what the finished product is.
Well, thank you so much. You've added so much to this experience and to the cookbook, and we just appreciate all that you do and all that the members of the Emerald Coast Alumni Association do. Thank you.